Hey, welcome in.
Welcome to the Arrowhead Addict podcast.
We are here coming to you live.
Let me tell you, the dopamine, it's flowing.
I am damn excited. Damn excited.
We are so excited to be joining you guys tonight.
Oh!
Well, how you doing, man? Patrick.
Will, Sterling.
Yeah.
Super Bowl champion, two-time Pro Bowler, and Trent Green. Trent Green, how you doing?
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Oh, he picked it up! He picked it up! He's gonna score!
We'll see you next week, but until then, as always, go Chiefs.
Welcome to Wacky Wednesday on the Arrowhead Addict channel. I'm the blog father, Adam Best, and I'm joined, as always, by the golden voice of Sterling Holmes. Sterling, we've hit rock bottom, brother. How are you hanging in there?
Fine. I've gone through, and now I'm slightly optimistic. Patrick's already had his surgery. They fixed his ACL and his LCL. He went to supposedly the best in the world in regards to that. He's already started his rehab. I'm not saying I want him to rush back, but we know how he attacks everything in life. It is with a extreme enthusiasm. So I find myself saying I want him to take as long as he needs, and also would not be surprised if he's back week 1. So I'm finding myself trying to find the silver lining in a lot of things.
It's really all you can do. And I'm in the same place. Last night I couldn't sleep. I was up thinking about a screenplay and was like, okay, I've got to stop pressing. What else can I think about? I'm going to think about the Chiefs. Another problem that I can't fix. But I came to the conclusion that if Patrick Mahomes was going to blow out his knee, this was the best time for it to happen. And I think, first of all, they're mathematically eliminated from the playoffs. So it's not going to cost them a Super Bowl run. Last year, I know they lost in the Super Bowl, but making it to the Super Bowl is still a huge feat, especially when you do it 3 years in a row, winning 2 of them. So I don't know. This is the best time for it to happen. What's unfortunate for Patrick is I think this is just an exhausted human being. He went from Texas Tech and kind of had a year off, and then he was immediately one of the most famous athletes in the country, ascending to one of the most famous athletes worldwide. And he's never really gotten a breather because it's been the conference championship or Super Bowl every single year. And this was set to finally be his break, where he could exhale, kind of gather himself, regroup, and maybe just have a little bit of downtime. That's all out the window now. So kind of feel terrible for him in that regard. But let's get serious. Patrick Mahomes isn't really a sit back and chill, rest on your laurels kind of human being anyhow. So I think he would be attacking this offseason with zest no matter what happened. Got an interesting show for you guys today. We're going to get introspective. We have 10 flaming hot questions for you.
So when you say psychosomatic, you mean like he could start a fire with his thoughts?
Okay. The first one, I know you went over this on yesterday's show with Briscoe. By the way, have you heard the song Boogie with Stu? I keep thinking about that when he calls you Big Brain Stu or whatever. It is a Led Zeppelin song. So there you have it.
I'll have to check it out. I love Zeppelin.
Yeah.
I'll have to check that bad boy out.
I'm not going to say it's Led Zeppelin's best song. It's kind of a weird song, but it's cool that they have a song kind of named after you. They don't have a song named, they don't have anything best in any of their titles, I don't believe. So, and a lot of bands do. Will Patrick Mahomes be at full strength by opening kickoff 2026? What do you think?
No. My opinion is I am going to be cautiously optimistic. I'm going to also say that I would rather underpromise and overdeliver. Like, I don't want to count on that, and then it's week 5. That would just be a letdown. someone was counting on week 5, and then if it's week 1, I'm thrilled. So that's how I've more or less made my judgment here. Would I be surprised if he's ready week 1? No, not really. But would I bet on that? No, I also don't think I would.
Can't bet against him, though. This is Patrick Mahomes we're talking about. If it is humanly possible to be available for that opening week in September, I think he's going to make it happen. The question is it his decision to make? Will Andy Reid and Brett Veach and the training staff, Rick Burkholder and everybody else involved say, this is a long season. Now it's 17 games, 18 weeks. We can hold down the fort the first month, and then you'll come back in October, which I heard you guys talk about Carson Palmer yesterday. I think it's been quite a while.
Carson Wentz.
Carson Palmer also had quite a few serious knee injuries, so confusing. But what I know about Carson Wentz's work ethic and what I know about Patrick Mahomes' work ethic, they're kind of two distinctly different personalities. Carson Wentz is kind of, I don't know. I don't want to dunk on the guy, but he's not Patrick Mahomes. I think Patrick Mahomes will probably be ready. The question is it up to him? But I think after starting this season 0-2 and kind of getting behind the 8 ball, he's not going to want to do that again. He's not going to want to sit out the first month and come in and for them to be 2-2 and have to feel like he's playing catch up again. So I think he's going to want to be there. I guess we'll have to wait and see. In terms of his personality, I think he's much more similar to Joe Burrow. And Joe Burrow basically I think he tore his ACL, PCL, LCL, and meniscus.
It wasn't his LCL. It was his MCL.
Oh, you're right. ACL, PCL, MCL, and meniscus, which it's a different surgery, but I think it's a worse surgery. But he had, 3 weeks on Mahomes. That was November 22nd, 2020. And he made the Super Bowl in the next season. Now, I know Joe Burrow doesn't scramble as much as Mahomes and doesn't have the same level of escapability, but I think they're somewhat similar quarterbacks. They are both maniacal about the way they approach the game and approach rehab. So I think if Joe Burrow did it and made the Super Bowl the next season, there's reason to have hope. This next question is a little bit more interesting to me because I think we'll have answers sooner. And that is number 2, is the silver lining of the Mahomes ACL injury that it will create existential dread for the Chiefs' brain trust and force them to be brutally honest with themselves.
Yeah, they should have to begin with. Again, I don't need to harp on this too much. I've been talking about this for about a week or 2 now. Just this is the same offense from 2022. Just the difference is defenses have adjusted and it's caught up in spades. So this is what we are seeing. It's been a slow downturn from 2022. This is the same offense. They have to adjust, and now they'll be forced to adjust. I think Patrick will eventually become and will be able to do the same things that he's always been able to do, but do you want him to do that? Or do you want him to be more of a, pocket passer is such a almost derogatory term at times. He's still going to be able to make the secondary plays and all that stuff. But I would like to see him make quicker passes with better schemes, and maybe you move away from the West Coast offense just a little bit, or bring in a new voice, something to change it up just a little bit. Because right now it's very stale. And again, you're right, with this injury or not, I think they would have, but especially with the injury, they'll have to change this antiquated, outdated 2022 offense.
Football season is in full swing, and Underdog is the best place to get in on all the action. Playing on Underdog is easy. Just pick whether your favorite players will go higher or lower on stats like rushing yards, receptions, touchdowns, and more. Get your picks right, and you could win up to 5,000 times your cash. This week on Underdog, I'm looking at Chiefs at Titans, of course, and I'm selecting Tony Pollard to go lower than 51.5 rush yards. They kind of split carries between him and another back. And the Chiefs' rush defense is usually pretty good. And then I am going to go Travis Kelce higher than 47.5 receiving yards. I think he is going to be Gardner Minshew Gardner Minshew's best friend. A backup quarterback always loves the tight ends. I think that is another great pick. Download the app today and use promo code Arrowhead Addict to score $75 in bonus entries when you play your first $5. That's promo code Arrowhead Addict. Underdog. Make picks, win money. Must be 18 plus, 19 plus in Alabama and Nebraska, 19 plus in Colorado for some games, 21 plus in Arizona, Massachusetts, and Virginia, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/play and get terms _DFS_.html for details. Offer not valid in Maryland, Michigan, New Jersey, New York, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. Concerned with your play, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. In New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. The fact that they're 6-8 and mathematically eliminated from the playoffs, that should do it by its lonesome. But I do think this is a cherry on top of the shit Sunday where there's really no way for them to look at it and not say, we screwed this up massively. I mean, his knee was already hurting him. He scrambled this year more than he ever has in the regular season. Usually that is a weapon he tries to reserve for the playoffs. He only goes to that when he needs to. And this year, I think because he was pressing so much, he was stressed, he had too much on his shoulders. And I think that it's like this in almost anything you do. When you're not having fun, when you're not creative, when you don't feel like yourself, you just force things. And I think that's what has happened to Mahomes, and in part because with this offense having no explosive component, really with the receivers or the running backs. I know Tyquan Thornton occasionally catches the deep ball, but outside of that, there's really no explosive element. You're asking this guy to be perfect and construct 13, 14, 15, 16 play drives where he plays essentially flawless, mistake-free football and doesn't get a lot of help matriculating the ball down to the end zone. It's just too much to ask of anybody. And at times when guys are dropping passes, and we'll get to this later, he has more drop passes in the last 3 years than any other quarterback by far. I think the number is by 13 more than anybody else. I think it's either Herbert or Lawrence that's next. And he's perpetually losing his tackles. This is just not a guy that feels comfortable. He doesn't have the run game to run on. I think they're going to have to go back to the drawing board. And I think if Andy Reid and Brett Veach want to have a Mahomes 2.0 dynasty, they are going to have to really, really evolve. Number 3. Will the Chiefs actually be smart, bench a ton of ailing vets, and give young players extended looks, a.k.a. tank?
No. Do I want them to? Yes. Will they? No. It's who they are. It's what this organization is built on. They're not going to tank, and good luck out-tanking Tennessee or the Raiders, by the way. Good luck. This team is still too talented. You know, if Travis wants to play, he's going to play, and it won't be Jared Wiley. Like, we know this. Esapole is going to be your left tackle. Do we think they're going to play Jeffrey Bassa instead of Drew Tranquill? Do we think that? Really? Do we want that? Yes. But do we think that? No. Do I think we'll see Jaden Hicks instead of like Mike Edwards? Yeah, we'll probably see that. Do I think we'll start seeing maybe a few more carries for Brashard or a actual snap for Jalen Royals at wide receiver? Yeah, we'll probably see a few. Some of that's probably going to be with a Hollywood situation. Maybe if Tyquan's out with the concussion. I think a lot of it's going to be more injury-based than anything else. Again, do I want to see the young guys? Yes. Do I think we'll see a lot of them? No. Will we see a slight uptick in some of their playing time? Yeah, we probably will see a slight uptick. But again, some of that might just be injury-related.
Man, it's not just about tanking either. Now that they're out of the playoffs, Brett Veach needs more information about the young players on this football team. He needs to know what he has in Jeffrey Bassa. He needs to know what he has in Noel Williams. He's got huge decisions in the secondary with Jaylen Watson and Trent McDuffie forthcoming. Brian Cook is also a free agent, so they need to know how comfortable and confident they are in Jaden Hicks. And then Leo Chanel and Drew Tranquill Leo Chanel is not under contract next year. Drew Tranquil, they can save some money if they move on from him. I think they just have a lot of decisions. They need to know what they have in Jalen Royals. Like you said, with the tackles, I think this would be a great opportunity to step back and evaluate some of these guys. I certainly don't want, if Travis Kelce does plan on coming back, I don't want him to get hurt, but I don't think he's going to sit out. Chris Jones has an excuse after getting banged up last week to sit out. So does Nick Bolton. I don't really want to see those guys anymore. I mean, what more do those guys have to prove, especially at Chris Jones, his age? But we've seen very little of Jeffrey Bossa, Brashard Smith, and Jalen Royals. I think those are the three guys they have to give serious playing time to, even if they're not going to tank. And you mentioned out-tanking the Titans. I don't think they're going to out-tank the Raiders, but the Titans have their quarterback, and I think one of the things these franchises like to do when they're trying to attract a new coach and when they're trying to get some momentum for their young quarterback, they like to finish strong. You have a lot of young players on a team like this fighting for their professional futures. It's on the road. I think this is a game the Chiefs could potentially lose. Maybe I'm talking myself into that, and it's wishful thinking, but I think it would be great if this team lost 2 of 3 and stuck around, say, pick 12 instead of pick 15 and 16. And I know there's not that big of a difference between those picks in round 1, but if you want to move up, you're better positioned. And in every single round after that, it's better positioning. So I think jockeying for draft position when you're already out of the playoffs would be smart for this franchise. I don't ever expect them to be in the top 15 again for the duration of Mahomes' career. If it is, it's a serious, serious problem. I think we're giving them a one-time pass because they went on this crazy, unprecedented run of 7 or 8 years, but they can't do it again, and they have to take advantage of it now. Number 4, what's the best option for Travis Kelce? Not the Chiefs, not Chiefs Kingdom, not even Kansas City, but or Taylor Swift, Travis Kelce himself, retirement or 1 more year?
Oh, retirement. It's not what I want to happen. I would love to see him come back. I mean, for the people that I don't get the absurdity that's like, oh, he's washed. Yeah, compared to what his peak was, he's tied for second in receiving yards for a tight end this year. He's tied with Kyle Pitts. Like, what are we doing here? I know he's had some huge drops that has resulted into some brutal interceptions. I'm not denying that, but he's been a really good tight end. He's been like a top 5 tight end this year. Like, have we seen Noah Gray? Like, you know who's behind Travis Kelce, right? Like, for all the folks that are like, yeah, move on from Travis. Okay, then who? Do you just assume that Kyle Pitts is going to come to KC? Like, that's your plan, as the assumption that they're just going to figure it out? Like, we've been spoiled. We went from Tony Gonzalez to a little bit in between, but basically from Tony to Travis. It's like when you expect the offensive line to always be the 0-3 Chiefs O-line. That's not reality. That's the outlier. And the Chiefs have had back-to-back outliers pretty much at tight end. So, no. But in this case, I don't know why he would come back. The reason why I say that is you don't want to have your last pass be caught by Gardner Minshew, most likely. You don't want your last game to be a game that isn't a game that really matters, but you never know that. I mean, Jason Kelce, and the reason why I say this is a long way of saying that Jason Kelce tried that after losing the Super Bowl, and they made the playoffs and lost first round. It was basically like this, and he goes, I'm done. Like, even if Travis comes back, it's not like it's a guarantee they're going to the Super Bowl and winning a Super Bowl. You never know that. I think the assumption is that he makes it better and this team's going to be back and they'll revamp and everything's going to be great. Yeah. But also, if you are revamping so many parts and the scheme is changing, does he want to go through that? Does he want to go through what we might see as a overarching change on this entire team? Is that something you want to do? Or do you want to go be married to a billionaire and write off as one of the top 3 tight ends in NFL history? Yeah. Doesn't sound too bad.
And right now it feels like, this isn't the way he wants to go out. But 10 years from now, we're not going to remember this season for Travis Kelce. We're going to remember the guy that was balling out in 3 Super Bowls that they won and landed the most famous woman on the planet and got interest in Hollywood and all these other things that he did, and played with maybe more flair than anybody who's ever played his position, maybe anybody who's ever played any position. And you mentioned Noah Gray. Very troubling, the ascent and descent, the kind of progression of Noah Gray. 2022, he had 299 yards. 2023, 305 yards, kind of steady there. And then 2024, he had 5 touchdowns and 437 yards with 40 receptions. And we're thinking, man, he just keeps getting better. And then this year, 17 receptions for 146 yards. I don't know if it's an injury or if he stopped working as hard once he got paid or what it is, but I don't think we can any longer count on Noah Gray. And as far as Travis Kelce is concerned, the amount of opportunity he has outside of football, he'll never be hotter than he is right now. And there's part of me that says, Travis, you've given everything you have to the city and to this team. Go start the next chapter of your life at the most opportune moment. Now, if he wants to stick around, and even if he sticks around 3 or 4 more years and he's out there and he's playing, less snaps and he's washed, I do not care, folks. I do not care. That is one player that gets to wear the red and gold for as long as he deems fit. We owe him that level of loyalty. So people turning on Travis Kelce after one down season for him, which is still would be still 2 times greater than the greatest season Noah Gray has ever had. Basically, Kyle Pitts, his like reemergence is a down year for Travis Kelce. I mean, that's perspective, folks. Number 5, better path for the Chiefs to take. Draft a running back in what sounds like, according to our draft expert Price Carter, a weak class, or sign one of the following: Breece Hall, Kenneth Walker, or Travis Etienne.
Well, for me, the answer is draft, but not first round. I think I'm actually okay with a second round running back, and that's a lot. Second round running back, I'd be okay with. First round running back, especially that spot, I just think that you are, that's your chance to get a game changing edge rusher. Now it all depends on how the board falls, but you might get an Ohio State wide receiver, you might get a game changing edge rusher, and that's your chance to do it. There's more running backs that can be effective for this team than there are edge rushers in this draft. So first round, go for a game changer, a cornerstone piece. You can find a valuable running. And again, I don't mind Breece Hall. So I think people are going to have some pushback saying, oh, well, now you want Breece Hall? Yeah, because you're not paying debit and credit. Because now you get to keep that 3rd rounder and now you can pay him. Right? Mm-hmm. That's I did not want to pay the 3rd and then pay him. To me, it was one or the other. He had an expiring contract. That is just absurd to me. So for me, it was, this is a weird thing to say, but like, did you want Noah Williams? Yeah, I like Noah Williams. Well, if you traded the 3rd, that could be who you're giving up. Now you could also say that could have been, Wanye Morris. Sure. Do you care? Maybe not. But the point remains, I want that 3rd round draft pick. And I would like to have a running back. And now this offseason, they can make that happen. So I'd be okay either way, whether it's Breece, Etienne, whether they decide to spend a 2nd rounder. I just think that 1st rounder, I would be a little too rich for my blood.
Normally I would say draft, but they have limited draft capital this year. And I think they have quite a few holes. And I really like this trio of players for the Chiefs. You have guys that have explosive ability, and all 3 of them are good pass catchers. So, and all 3 of them they're explosive players, right? Breece Hall, Kenneth Walker, Travis Etienne. Kenneth Walker is like perfect for the Chiefs. I know in Seattle, they get frustrated with him because he's always trying to hit the home run. And in Seattle, they just want to steadily move the chains and be a run first offense and like win with their defense, right? They want to take things off of Sam Darnold's plate. But in Kansas City, you're not going to get as many touches. So the fact that Kenneth Walker can break off a 60-yard TD at any moment, defenses will have to respect that. And so I think that's the perfect kind of player for the Chiefs if they can't get Breece Hall. And then Travis Etienne is having a bit of a resurgence. I don't think there's any freaking way he's back in Jacksonville. These other 2 guys I could see going back to the Jets in Seattle. But this new brain trust down in Jacksonville, they just drafted Bashal Tootin. I think they traded up to get Bashal Tootin. And they seemingly are obsessed with him. So I think that is one guy that might be available. We will definitely get into this running back class sooner than expected. I haven't started my draft prep yet, but over the holidays, I'm going to start digging in about 2 months earlier than I usually do out of circumstance. So before we get to 6 to 10 in our countdown, a little bit of business from our friends at Aura.
Yeah, Aura frames. So I've talked about this a lot on this show, and it's true. I love Aura frames. I use Aura frames. I'll probably be giving some Aura frames as a gift this year. My grandparents have Aura frames. Again, it's not just, oh, you have to be young to figure out how to work this. No, it is super easy. And I love Aura frames in general because, you'll have a picture book, right? Back in the day, you'd have a picture book and you'll look through that. But how often are you looking through it? How often do you even know where the picture book is at? And then it's all personalized. Aura frames is personalized, easy, fun, and you'll see stuff because you'll see things that you've probably never seen before. When I go to my parents' house over here, you'll see photos of when I was a child. I'll see photos of my grandparents, of my great-grandparents, and it just makes you smile. Something about it just really brings a smile to my face. It's unlimited free photos and video. All you have to do is download the Aura app and connect to Wi-Fi. If you want to send this to someone who is, my grandpa uses this, he's 90, but to someone who is less technologically advanced, you can preload photos before it ships, and then you can keep adding photos from anywhere, anytime. You can personalize your gift. You can add a message before it arrives. And it's so easy to share photos and videos effortlessly. And it's all straight from your phone. It's all year long. So what are you waiting for? I mean, this is a perfect holiday gift. It really is for any age. Again, you can't wrap togetherness, but you can frame it. So for a limited time, save on the perfect gift by visiting auraframes.com to get $35 off Aura's best-selling Carver matte frames, named at #1 by Wirecutter, by using promo code Arrowhead at checkout. That's auraframes.com, promo code Arrowhead. This deal is exclusive to listeners, and frames sell out fast. So order yours now to get it in time for the holidays. Support the show by mentioning us at checkout. Terms and conditions apply.
All right, let's dive back in. Number 6, I have some thoughts here. Re-sign Jaylen Watson and trade Trent McDuffie, or extend McDuffie and let Watson walk. That is the current cornerback conundrum. I don't think they can afford both of them. I don't think they can walk away from both of them either. As much as I love Noel Williams and think he has a bright future, I think they need one of them back. I lean towards re-signing Jaylen Watson and trading Trent McDuffie. However, I think if we're expecting a Sauce Gardner kind of haul for Trent McDuffie, we are going to be disappointed, because I think this season reset the market for Trent McDuffie a little bit. He's probably not going to want to hear that financially, but I think the argument that he is a top 5 outside corner has, maybe that bubble has burst a little bit. Do I think he's probably the best slot corner in football? Yes, I do, but that is not as valuable as a top 5 outside corner. I think in terms of an outside boundary corner, he's still top 15 or so. He had a little bit of a down year, but as we've been saying on this program for a long time, cornerback is a roller coaster position. You can't be the same guy every single year. We've seen that with Sauce Gardner, and it has not affected his value, but he's 3 inches taller than Trent McDuffie with much longer arms. I still say, though, if they can get a first rounder for Trent McDuffie, even if they had to send a 4th back or something like that, and I'm not sure they will have to do that, but they're going to get a 1st and a 2nd for Trent, or a 1st and a 3rd for Trent. I don't know, man. But I think the reason to do this is you are so good at drafting and developing cornerbacks with this front office and coaching staff that you just cannot afford to pay a guy $30 million who isn't a surefire top 5 outside corner. And in terms of Jaylen Watson, I think it's just going to depend on his market. I would love to see him brought back for $15 million. We'll see. Maybe some guys look at him and say, oh, that's just the Spag system. Oh, the Chiefs are good at finding corners. That's not what happened with Charvarius Ward, though. So I think there's going to be a lot of interest for Jaylen Watson. What do you think, Sterling?
Yeah, I almost up the L'Jarius Sneed situation. I feel bad saying it. Makes people wary of Chiefs corners. Like, I hope they're like, oh, well, I don't know. They work out great there, then they're injured and all this stuff. And he's had some injuries, obviously, in Kansas City. You know, they're in the back of their mind, they're sitting, well, why are they moving on from this guy? If he's so good, why are they moving on from him? You hope that happens to, not for his sake, but for the Chiefs' sake and for the fans' sake. We want to have the best deal possible to stay in Kansas City. Yeah, the McDuffie one, the more I've thought about it, and it's not even his play that I think will drive that down from not being Sauce Gardner, because Sauce got 2 firsts. It's the fact the Jets had already re-signed and had paid a lot of the money up front. So when you pay that bonus up front, well, that's money that's already taken out of the contract. So it makes it a little cheaper for the next team coming in, especially the owner, right? Because that money's already given out. Oh, well, that's not happened with Trent McDuffie. So that means whatever team signs Trent McDuffie still has to pay that upfront signing bonus, which is a large chunk of change. So I do think that might be the biggest difference in draft compensation. If you're not getting a first rounder, I do think you look at bringing him back. If you can get a first and maybe a little more, I think you have to trade him. If you're not getting a first, then I do think you try and find a way to get it done, because I think he is too valuable for that. Again, he's probably in that $30 million range. I still think he's a great cornerback. Like, when I say I would look at trading him, it doesn't mean I don't think he's a valuable piece. No, it's because I think he's so valuable. And I think that just a position right now where the Chiefs are in, they can develop corner. And would you rather have $30 million sunk in a cornerback or $30 million sunk to put on the defensive line?
Yeah,
that's where I land.
I have the utmost confidence in their ability to replace corners. In terms of the defensive line, I do not have any confidence that they can draft and develop this position, because they haven't shown it to us. They haven't shown us that they can do this. I mean, Chris Jones was a Dorsey draft pick. So I think we're united there. Number 7, how likely are the Chiefs to add a significant outside voice to their offensive coaching staff?
3 out of 10. Like 10 being they for sure will, 1 being they won't. I think it's like a 3 out of 10. I honestly find myself wondering if like Mike Kafka's coming back, which I think Mike Kafka can be a good coach. The issue is he's already been in Kansas City, got poached, and if he comes back, then you're yet again bringing the team back together. Even if it's like Eric, I don't think it is, but let's just say hypothetically it's Eric Bieniemy. You're legit just bringing people who've already been in the system back to the system, right? Again, it's nothing against those guys. I think they're good coaches. I think they know what they're doing. Look at the run game for the Bears right now with Kyle Monangai and Swift. Bieniemy's done a great job up there. I just think you need someone completely different. Someone from the McVay tree. Someone from the Kevin O'Connell. Mike McDaniel would be almost my dream OC at this point, because we know he can get a run game from anyone. He did it in San Fran time after time, did it in Miami time after time, even when you couldn't even throw the football. I think it's just something so different and unique. It can add something that will maybe push or change or challenge Andy Reid. I'm not telling Andy Reid to wear capris or anything, but I think Mike McDaniel can at least help and affect the offensive game plan. So that's where I'm at. I would like to see it 1,000%. Do I think we'll see it? We haven't seen it much in Andy Reid's career.
You got to be careful about throwing out suggestions like that. We're going to see Andy Reid wearing capris on an Allstate commercial pretty soon here. I think the odds are a little bit better than that, but I think they will probably be someone in a somewhat insignificant position. I think they might do a little lip service here. I hope they do more, because really in any walk of life and anything I've been involved with professionally, film, politics, tech, it's that Abe Lincoln team of rivals thing. When your method becomes stagnant, you got to bring in people who will interject some conflict, who will disrupt the way you do things, you want some debate, you want some argument. You do not want a bunch of yes men. Right now, Andy Reid has a bunch of yes men. I think even Eric Bieniemy, in terms of challenging Andy Reid and having a little bit more of a backbone with the players, that might be the only place where I prefer him to Matt Nagy, just because I think he's got a personality who he's willing to push a little bit more. And Matt Nagy is very jovial. He's kind of like Andy Reid. I think he's a player's coach. That's not what they need. I have a dark horse here. Go ahead.
I just love it that people got mad at Bieniemy for doing that. You remember that? It used to be,
yes.
Bieniemy's getting in people's grills. What's he? People hated it, and then he's gone, and they're like, we missed that. It just always makes me laugh. I just always find some of the immediate reactions to anything that we don't know behind the scenes to be zero nuance. It's always just cut and dry. And there's always some nuance to everything. And so I just find that funny that a lot of the same people that were upset that he would get into people's faces, saying it's a bad look and all that stuff, are the same people that want him back. Just makes me laugh.
Scammers know the holidays are busy for everyone, which can make us all targets for scams. That's why Cash App builds in protection to help keep your money safe while you're checking off your shopping list. If you're about to send money to someone for a deal that's too good to be true, and Cash App flags it as a potential scam, they'll warn you before you send the money. Cash App also gives you an extra layer of protection with features like security lock. You can require a PIN, Face ID, or fingerprint to unlock your account and move money. So even if someone gets a hold of your unlocked phone at a holiday party, your money is right where you left it. Gift yourself some peace of mind this holiday season and download Cash App. For a limited time only, new Cash App customers can use our exclusive code to earn some additional cash. For real, just download Cash App, use our exclusive referral code, Secure10 in your profile, send $5 to a friend within 14 days, and you'll get $10 dropped right into your account. Terms apply. That's money. That's Cash App. Cash App is a financial services platform, not a bank. Banking services provided by Cash App's banking partners. Prepaid debit cards issued by Sutton Bank, member FDIC. Promotions provided by Cash App, a Block Inc. brand. Visit cash.app/legal/podcast for full disclosures. Grass is always greener, but I have an interesting take on Matt Nagy, and it's that I think he's interestingly enough, well-suited to be a head coach. I think he does have some of those CEO qualities, and he does have the right temperament. I don't know that he is a dynamic and inventive play caller, though. So I think he might be better suited to be a head coach, and that's why people are flabbergasted that Tennessee is interested. Well, he had some high moments in Chicago, despite having a bad quarterback situation, and the new GM there in Tennessee has a connection to him. Really quickly, I want to mention Connor Embry. Is it time for Connor Embry to go, the wide receiver coach? I mentioned that Mahomes has 13 more drop passes than any other quarterback since 2023. The route running is sloppy and limited. I know some of this is scheme on Andy. Some of this is personnel on Brett Veach. But at some point, Connor Embry has to be accountable for what's going on with the receivers.
Yeah, I talked about this yesterday. I think it's tough. All this stuff, I think a lot scheme related, obviously, and it's not like he's the guy that can make people catch the football. Like, sorry, that's not him. Even effort at some times, that's a player more than the coach. Yeah, do they respect the guy? No, also players should respect themselves. If you're giving up on plays, that's on you. That's a you issue, not a coaching issue. I've pushed back on that a little bit. Tyquan Thornton got better, which there's one thing. But when you see Worthy regress, Rashee Rice regress, Hollywood Brown not really provide what you were maybe hoping for. We have no idea with Jalen Royals. He's had guys, right? He's had talent in that wide receiver room. I've talked about it. It's not always his fault. It's not always the coach's fault, but hitting coaches in baseball, they might struggle one place, be great somewhere else, and they've done nothing different, but the players are just the ones that make it work. But that's what comes with being a hitting coach. It's what comes with being a coordinator. It's what comes with being a coach in the NFL. You are a wide receiver coach. You're getting probably fired before the OC, which is probably getting fired before the head coach, which is probably getting fired before the GM. It's a feeding chain. It's a food chain. And when you are a position coach, you're towards the bottom. So I don't think his job is very safe. Although I do want to see him succeed. I want everyone to succeed in Kansas City, but it's tough.
I have nothing against Connor Embry, and at times like this, someone has to be the scapegoat. And I get what you're saying. At some point, the players have to catch the football. He can't catch the ball for them. But when you're seeing it, not just one player, not just two players, Tony, Sky Moore, MVS, Rashee Rice, the list goes on and on. It is a widespread problem with this wide receiver room, a lack of focus, a lack of attention to detail. I think that is positional coaching as much as it is scheme. Number 8, how long can Chris Jones keep playing at a high level?
I mean, it depends on your definition. I think he took a huge step back this year. Like, I still think he's good. Like, I still think Chris Jones is a good defensive tackle. I think he's a good player. But we've already seen him not be able to really put it together for a full game. Like, we'll see halves of dominance. We'll see halves of greatness. And we'll see halves of disappearance. I think he's a couple more years of this year production still in him. Like, I think we looked at Chris where maybe PFF loves some of the stuff he does, but the sack numbers aren't there and the pressures maybe aren't quite what they once were. And he's a really good player still. Really good player. I just don't know if he's still like an elite player. Like, he was always in the category of Parsons and Aaron Donald and Myles Garrett. I don't think he's in that category anymore. I think he's a category down now, which is fine. But he's also getting paid a little bit like he's in that category. And yeah, I think you're going to have to figure out how to use him. Like, against certain teams like the Bills, maybe play him less on first and second down. You see that all the time with Micah Parsons. I think he's tired. He's playing so many snaps, and I just don't think he can bring it for 60 snaps a game anymore. Maybe it's 45. But that's what I would do, because I still think there's some really good parts of Chris Jones still left. I just don't know if he can do it for 60 snaps a game anymore.
Yeah, I think a lot of what happened with him this year is scheme related. This is the worst defensive line he's ever played on. I honestly believe that. Sure. Because if you look at some of the numbers here, his average get off time, fastest among defensive tackles at 0.86 seconds. So in terms of the athleticism and the juice and the explosiveness, it is still there. He had 19 quick pressures and posted a 5.1 quick pressure rate. Both were second only behind Jeffrey Simmons. That's from our friend Tucker Franklin on the site, formerly known as Twitter. So those indicators are pointing to a guy that's still explosive, that still has a lot of the physical talent. And we've seen him take over games. I mean, the way he played late in that Colts game, the way he played late in that Texans game, he was unreal in that Texans game. So we still see it from time to time. And I'm with you. He's older. Last year, I made the point at the end of the season that he played more snaps than anybody. And all the other guys that were playing as many snaps as him, they weren't 30 or 31. They were 27, 26, 25. You cannot play Chris Jones this many snaps. And I think Omar Norman-Lott getting hurt was unfortunate on the heels of losing Turk Wharton because they had to play him more out of necessity. Mike Pennell and Derek Nottie are not going to get off after the passer, guys. That's just not who they are. But they have to find a way to play him less snaps. I think if they can dial a third of his snaps back, he can still be, I'd like to see him be a pass rush specialist, because I think if that was his role, he could probably do that until he's 35 years old.
Yep.
Number 9. These last two are pretty quick. Is it time for Brett Veach to claim more autonomy and become the primary author of this upcoming Chiefs roster?
Great question. Yes.
Yeah.
Because right now, I think almost all offensive players are Andy and almost all defensive players are Spags. But we've seen greatness. We've seen Super Bowls, right? So how much you want to switch it up? I think a little bit, though. I think Andy Veach should have a little more, hey, I know you like this guy, Spags. He sets the edge. We need more juice. Hey, Andy, I know you like 5'9" wide receivers who run great 40s. We need someone who's more of an X receiver, traditional X. I think at some point Veach needs to somewhat make that call. And I get it. Him and Andy have been together a long time. They're boys, all that stuff. At some point, let's see what Veach can do when you take the training wheels off. I do believe a little bit of that. So I would say yes, a little more autonomy for him.
Andy's what? 68, 67, something like that. He's pushing 70. Spags is in his 60s. These guys are not going to be here forever. And Brett Veach has a long, hopefully illustrious career ahead of him. I think it's time for him to put his imprint on this program. And if you think about it, you're right. Coming off all these conference championships and all these Super Bowls as a guy in his 40s, it's been hard for him to tell Andy Reid and Steve Spagnuolo, I know you guys want to shop for your own groceries, but this is my team. But now that their schemes are starting to fail and the team has had less success, I think he can kind of go in and talk to Andy Reid and have a heart-to-heart and say, I'm the only guy that can talk to you and Steve Spagnuolo and say that what we're not doing is not working and you will listen to me. I think he has earned both of their respect. And I think he has to do this because at his age, in his mid-40s, he is much more likely to change his stripes and evolve than either Andy or Steve Spagnuolo. I think that's just like an age thing. And because Brett Veach is he's still somewhat early in his career as a general manager. He's still discovering himself. So I think this is something he must do and he has to do if he wants to be the Chiefs GM 10 years from now, after both these guys are gone. It behooves him to kind of like take control of this situation. And I know it's still collaborative, but I just think there's an opening. Number 10, this is kind of related. Will Steve Spagnuolo finally evolve and allow lighter, faster, bendier edges to play on his defensive line?
Yeah, it kind of goes to number 9. Yeah, he's going to have to. He's making it harder on himself. Like, Spags still has a great defense and a great defensive game plan, and I still trust in him. But he's making it harder on himself by having a specific guy he has to have play at edge for him. You're making it harder on yourself. Make it easy. Get a guy who can get pressure. Then you have to get pressure with 4 and not have to send all these exotic blitzes. So I think he finally realizes, hey, let me make it easier. Let me make my life easier. Let me get a guy with a little bit of bend.
And I love Chris Jones at edge because a lot of times he's just too much to handle for these tackles. But his obsession with versatility, especially inside versatility for edges, what has it done? Well, it's created guys who stand up to guards and like the inside power better and have, they're just sturdier players. Your Charles Omenihu's, your Mike Dana's, your George Karlaftis's, but they don't have that closing time. They're not getting quick wins on the edge. And that is something when you look at this Denver defense with Nick Bonito or what Micah Parsons was doing in Green Bay, I mean, the list goes on and on. They're getting quick wins from the outside. And furthermore, when Chris Jones gets quick wins, sometimes there's not someone there to clean up because he's winning so quick. And these other guys they just do not get to the quarterback quickly. So I think this is something that Steve Spagnuolo has to do. I think there needs to be 2 interventions, right? The intervention with Spags needs to be, we've got to change and be more open-minded when it comes to the edges we play. We need a change-up pitch, man. We can't have the same guy every single down. It's not working. And with Andy Reid, the intervention is we've got to have a wide receiver that can beat man, that can run all the routes. We can't have all these specialty receivers, all these knights and bishops. We got to have a queen out there. So that's where I'm at with those 2 guys. I just think this is a huge offseason for Brett Veach when it comes to what the next 10, 12, 13 years of the Mahomes era are going to look like. And if he wants to continue being a general manager long-term in this league, he is going to have to assert himself. That's all we've got for you guys. Thanks to the chat. Thanks to all our members. If you dig Arrowhead Addict, here's how you can help our community grow. Subscribe here on YouTube. That way you never miss a show or short. If you are an audio listener on Spotify or Apple, please consider giving us a 5-star review. That will really help Sterling and myself. If you're on Apple, you can leave a question and we will get to it on our Thursday show. Lastly, check out the mothership, arrowheadaddict.com, powered by the passionate fans at Fansided. Matt Connor and the gang will keep you up to date throughout the rest of the season and the entire offseason. We love the offseason here at Arrowhead Addict. We are very into the draft and free agency. That's going to start sooner than ever this year. Should be a lot of fun. Join us live next Wednesday at 5 p.m. Central right here on the Arrowhead Addict channel. Until then, go Chiefs.